All right, and we're back with another Mary Truth Talks. My name is Marianne. I am your host for the MTT show. And before we begin, as always, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and X, even though I don't really post there. But still, follow me there too. Mary_Truths with an S. It's MARY_Truths with an S. Okay, so we have a lot of stories to talk about today. I had to literally choose which ones were more trendy than others because there's ones that are heavier, so I had to really pick and choose. But thank you guys for supporting. Thank you guys for subscribing. Those who are new subscribers, thank you so much. Because of you guys, we are growing. So there's something we're doing right. You know, not everything, but something. So I appreciate you guys for supporting. And like always, if you believe in the wellness mentality just like we do, join us on our Patreon account. It is on the link below, www.patreon.com/mbe.com. All right, let's begin. DC Takeover. Of course, we're going to talk about that. Trump Organization versus NY State, New York State. Alina Habba fights to be New Jersey AG, Attorney General. Ukraine-Russia war update on that. And will Trump administration invade Mexico to fight the cartels? That was a really big one. So let's start with DC Takeover, shall we? All right. So before we get into that, long story short, DC metropolitan data says that crime is down. However, some people are saying that crime is not really down, even though the numbers are saying that it's down. Just like in every other part of the country, they're saying that crime is down, and then the residents are saying that crime is not down. So who's right? The stats or the people actually living within these crime cities? I'm going to go with the people, not the data, because data can be skewed. It can be, underreported. You have to rely on people to report accurately, So I'm always going to rely on people that are actually living there versus data. But hey, that's just me. Let's see what's going on in DC. Ready? It's like, I need to put on my handy-dandy glasses. Yo, girl blind.
President Donald Trump is celebrating his crackdown on crime in the nation's capital. On Thursday night, he met with National Guard troops. He met with federal agents, thanking them and promising new renovation projects. News Nation's Libby Dean is live at the White House this morning. Libby, how's the president's takeover of D.C. going so far?
Well, according to him, it's going to plan. President Trump stopping by a command center in Southeast D.C. to thank those National Guard troops and federal law enforcement agents, also touting his administration's operation for what he describes as a significant drop in crime. Here's the president.
When I look at you people, I understand why, because there's no games, right? We're not playing games. We're going to make it safe. And we're going to then go on to other places. But we're going to stay here for a while. We want to make this absolutely perfect. It's our capital. And I guess it used to be many years ago safe, but it's certainly not had a very good run.
The president previously announced that he would be patrolling the streets with the National Guard. We, of course, did not see that ultimately happen. Instead, his visit lasted about half an hour, and an administration official telling News Nation that the plans were being worked up on this visit until the afternoon, and then this decision was made ultimately for everyone's safety. Now, also, despite this strong opposition from protesters here in D.C., President Trump does continue to increase the National Guard's presence. Here, we have seen now there are over 1,900 National Guard forces on patrol, and that's well over double the number of troops that President Trump announced at the start of this crackdown, Markey.
And Libby, speaking of numbers, what are the arrest numbers looking like this morning?
We're getting updates on that, and the White House does continue to tout the arrest numbers that we've seen play out. Attorney General Pam Bondi claiming that 630 arrests have been made so far since the start of this, and the White House touting 251 of those arrests were illegal immigrants. Now, despite those numbers, D.C.'s Mayor Muriel Bowser does continue to point out that crime has been down well before Trump's federal surge. Let's listen.
What I know is that our police department has been consistently, precipitously driving down crime for the last 2 years. I think up before the federal surge, more than 25% down. Last year, more than
Sounds very reassuring.
35% down on, I think, all categories of violent crime.
Yeah, I don't think that's something you should be saying as a mayor. You shouldn't be saying, I think. You know,
President Trump overnight hitting back, posting that Bowser is giving false and inaccurate crime figures. That is in response to what she was just laying out there. And the president also went on to warn that if Bowser doesn't stop touting those numbers, that he ultimately will implement this complete federal takeover of D.C., Marky.
All right, that's it. Cool. All right. So that's sticky, very sticky. That is.
I mean, we didn't experience any crime when we were there, thank God.
Yeah, thank God.
But it's good to hear that there's some action being taken.
We didn't experience any crime, but we did experience things that shouldn't be happening. Like, for example, at least I don't know if I know you noticed that when we went to this Mexican place there right next to the university that's there, I believe, what is it, Georgetown? Is that the university that's there in DC?
Don't remember.
I don't know I think it's Georgetown. I'm not 100% sure. But it's a university in DC. It's a very, Ivy League university. And then we were in this Mexican place near there. So a lot of college students are coming out of there and they're just hanging out, walking around or whatever. And then there's a gas station across from that Mexican place we were at.
Wait, you talking about the restaurant? The Mexican restaurant?
Yeah. You don't remember that gas station that was there and how there was a woman that you can clearly tell was on drugs and she kept pacing back and forth?
Oh, yeah.
You know? And then in that same gas station, there was like people coming out of there that you can tell are not up to.
They didn't give a good vibe.
Yeah, like
by the way they were like walking, I guess, or like body language.
Is the way they were dressed, to.
Well, yeah, that too.
So it's just. I'm just saying that there's no reason why that should be occurring in an area where there's a college right there, like literally right there to that gas station. There's a college, and there's also like those what do you call it? The dorms are there too. So kids are living, like not kids, but young adults are living there, and then there is a gas station that attracts for some reason people that are not trying to better themselves to be nice and polite about it. They're trying to better themselves.
The crime rates were higher like inside the DC area, or was it more like the outer parts?
Not in the monuments area. It's in the actual outside area where people live. That crime rate. Yeah, I remember. Claiming is down, which means that it was up at one point, and there shouldn't be crime at all or very little crime because it is the capital, which is the part that the mayor doesn't like. The biggest problem is she's defending the fact that it's okay to have crime because she's saying, oh, crime is down. And it's like, okay, you don't see the point that why should there even be crime? It's the capital. Why should there be crime? Why should there be homicides? Why should there be robberies? Why should there be homelessness? It's the capital, So that's what I'm kind of taken back by, that instead of you acknowledging that, yeah, crime may be down, but you're disregarding the fact that there shouldn't even be crime. You're failing.
There's always going to be crime.
Yeah, but not to the extent to where it is right now.
Right. Well, a good perspective to give you on that. My dad, he's been to DC a few times, and he recently had to go to get like a visa to go to China to visit China. Yeah. And he was there for like 2 months, and he was telling me how bad it's gotten compared to how it used to be. A lot of nicer areas have been like run down. They become very like violence ridden. A lot of crimes. He was like giving me a perspective because he had gone like 10 years ago, and then he came recently, I think last year, and he really did notice a big difference.
And then the people that are very anti-Trump, it's like, bro, you can be anti-Trump and still comprehend that even though it may not look good that there are National Guard troops all over the city, the reason why is because the leadership, who happens to be Democrat, have failed to actually keep their city clean from crime. Because if you're right, there's always going to be crime. You know, people are not, they're infallible. We get that. We're not saying be perfect, but we are saying
Infallible?
And is that
Infallible means without flaw. You mean
Exactly.
fallible. You mean fallible.
You're right. Thank you for correcting me. You're right. So because that's the case, we're not perfect, then you should recognize that you failed. That's why there's an implementation of National Guards. Like, people who are visiting are seeing that there's been a drastic change. People who live there are dealing with crime all the time. And the people that are the victims of the crime are Black Americans. So explain to me, Black leaders are saying, no, we are doing the best we can and we are making sure crime is down, while simultaneously the victims of these crimes are Black Americans. So to me, it's just like, and then of course people are going to say, well, what does that matter? I mean, it matters to an extent because the majority of DC, isn't it Black? A lot of Blacks have left, but the majority of DC is Black. The victims happen to be Black, and the leaders are Black.
I'm actually going to look into that because that.
So,
yeah, we got to.
I think you can fact check me, but I think considering that, you know, Democrats are all about race here and they're very obsessed with race and protecting minorities and all this, it doesn't make sense that you have Black leaders who have failed to protect Black Americans from being victims of Black on Black crime. That's really what it comes down to. It's Black on Black crime. It's not white versus Black, it's Black on Black crime. But if you can confirm that for me, I'd appreciate it. And lock down DC
No, you're
versus
right.
Marvel.
You're right. It is Black or African American.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just.
But I mean, it's not too far from white. So it's supposedly.
Yeah, because they left.
Between 45.
A lot of them moved out of DC after COVID.
Yeah, so it's basically between 45 to 46% Black, and then 36 to 37% white, and then the other percentage is all the other races.
So I mean, but the majority of victims are not. You know, they're Black.
Victims of crime?
Yeah, they're Black.
Well, I mean, you know, statistically,
so
that would make sense, considering they're the majority.
Right. So, but again, the people committing the crime are also Black. So, I to me, it's just so like I don't get it.
The people committing the most crime.
Yes.
Okay.
And getting arrested also. It's not just committing the crime.
Need to be specific.
It's committing the most crime and getting arrested for crimes are Black Americans. And the victims of crimes are also Black Americans. So in my mind, if you are in left leaning, ignore the fact that Trump is implementing National Guard and recognize the root of the problem. Why is he implementing National Guard? Because the local leaders fail to protect their citizens, and that's why this is happening. Forget about the fact that it doesn't look good and it looks like martial law. No. Look at the cause. What was the cause to the effect? It was failure to actually implement real policies to stop the rise in homelessness and to stop crime. The reason why there is crime is because they don't actually enforce laws. And that's not just in liberal cities. That could also be in red states too. So it's not just a liberal thing. It's also in red states too, where in the local leaders implement progressive policies and then crime is infested. So it's not just left. I'm not talking left here. I'm talking in general. A Republican can be pro-progressive policies too. It doesn't matter left or right. If you're pro-progressive policies, crime will go up. Period. But I mean, he said he's gonna take this to Chicago. He's gonna take this to Los Angeles, to New York City. Hopefully, he also takes this to New Orleans. I hope he takes this.
New York needs this like badly, man.
To Minneapolis. He needs to take this to it's every single city, blue or red. If you have crime infestation in your city, National Guard should come to you and teach you how to enforce your laws, because clearly you have failed to do so. That's where I'm at. It's not about red or blue here. It's about, if you can't control your cities, the federal government will help you out. That's how I see it. Let's talk really quick about Trump Organization versus New York. There's no link on that because it's very like narrative driven, and I just wanted to get the whole story, and news nowadays doesn't really do that. So in 2022, New York Attorney General Letitia James, y'all know Letitia James, Big Tish, brought a civil fraud case against Donald Trump, his company, and executives. The allegation: Trump intentionally inflated property values to secure favorable loans and insurance terms, and deflated values to reduce taxes. In February 2024, Judge Arthur Engoron ruled against Trump, finding persistent and repeated fraud. Penalties included hundreds of millions of dollars in fines, initially about $355 million plus interest, which later grew past $450 million with interest, plus restrictions on Trump's ability to operate business in New York. Trump's legal team argued the penalty was disproportionately harsh and violated the excessive fines clause, meaning the Eighth Amendment. The excessive fines clause applies not just in criminal cases, but also in civil penalty contexts. The Supreme Court clarified this in Timms versus Indiana 2019, where the seizure of a 40,000 Land Rover was ruled excessive for a minor drug offense. That's crazy. That's crazy. Wow. I mean, that's why we have rulings here, to make things back to normal, I guess. In August 2025, a New York State appeals court voided the nearly $500 million civil fraud fine imposed on Donald Trump and his organization, ruling that it was unconstitutionally excessive under the Eighth Amendment excessive fines clause. However, the court affirmed that Trump and his associates had committed fraud. What the state argued: the New York Attorney General's case didn't hinge on whether the banks lost money. It hinged on whether Trump knowingly and materially misrepresented facts in official documents, like statements of financial condition. Under New York's Executive Law 63, the state can bring fraud actions even without showing direct financial loss. The law focuses on persistent misrepresentation in business. Trump's counter-argument: Trump's team argued that the bank weren't victims. They conducted their own appraisals and due diligence before approving loans. All loans were repaid on time with interest. No financial institution complained or sued. From this angle, they framed it as no harm, no foul, meaning exaggerations in valuations are routine in real estate, and sophisticated banks accounted for that. The judge, though, Judge Engoron, ruled that fraud occurred even if the banks did not lose money. The reasoning: fraud doesn't require actual damages if there was intentional deception in pursuit of financial gain. In other words, the act of submitting knowingly false financial statements is enough for liability, regardless of whether the counterparties protected themselves through due diligence. Normally, fraud cases do involve demonstrable victims. Here, the victim wasn't specific banks, but rather the integrity of New York's financial system. The Attorney General argued that allowing unchecked misrepresentation undermines fairness in the market. Fairness. All right. So, this is where I'm at with this, because at the end of the day, I am a capitalist. I don't like the word fairness. Okay? Especially in this case. To me, capitalism is self-correcting. It corrects itself. Banks knew the risks. They played the game. They weren't harmed. So what's the problem? The problem I'm having with this case is that if Letitia James takes this to the highest court of the land in New York, which she will, because she wants to implement the actual punishment, which is the excessive fines, and she wins, this is precedent for all business for the future. And it's telling business owners like ourselves, small business and big business, that the government can tell you how to operate your business, even when it comes to how your intent is on running your business. Because one thing is, if I run my business in a way that harms consumers, that's different. That is a reason for me to be fined, because I'm harming consumers. But this goes beyond that. This saying, even if you don't harm consumers, the intent of you harming them is enough for me to control the way you operate your business. And that to me is dangerous, because you're not protecting business and capitalism anymore. And business and capitalism is the reason why government exists. That's the reason why we have roads. It's the reason we have public safety and social programs, is because of business. So to me, it's pretty much saying, even if there's no victims, the government can say, I tell you how to negotiate in your business. That's how I see it. If the Trump organization loses to the highest court of New York State, that is going to tell the rest of the country that the courts and the government can tell business how to operate in the most intrinsic way possible. Now, they will literally say, I will tell you how to operate your business. I will tell you what to say, what not to say, how to negotiate, how to sell. That goes way beyond what it's in the business of the government to do. So I pray that they lose, because at the end of the day, this is, to me, an attack on capitalism. And this country was founded on capitalism. We're not an authoritarian government or an authoritarian country, but if we allow this, we will be. Any thoughts? You're like, no, you said everything. Cool. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments. I know that is, but it's true. It's scary, but I don't want us to get there. People will say, I saw a video of Cenk Uygur and I always forget this chick's name, Anna Kasparian, say, the fact that the appeals court threw the case out. The case is not thrown out. They just said that they can't put that excessive fine because it is excessive. It's cruel and unusual. And that's a violation of the 8th Amendment. But it doesn't change the fact that they can take it to the Supreme. And if the Supreme rules in Big Tish's favor, it's not just the Trump organizations that get screwed. It's everybody who is in business who gets screwed. Everybody, big and small, everybody gets screwed. And then they're seeing it as like, what this says is that, rich men and rich people can pretty much are above the law. That's what this says. And I'm in my mind, I'm saying, no, what you're saying is, in capitalism, it shouldn't be eat or be eaten. It should be the government chooses who gets to be eaten and who gets to eat. That's what they're saying. I'm not there, bro. I'm sorry. I came from a communist country called Cuba. We both did. And I'm not there. I'm not in that camp. I don't think it's in the government's business to be saying who gets to eat and who doesn't. That's up to capitalism. Competition should decide who gets to eat and who gets to be eaten. Like, she was like, oh my God, when we were in school, they didn't teach us this. Like, yeah, you're right. They taught us to be socialists. They taught us to hate rich people. They taught us to be like, oh my God, it's not fair that, the middle class and poor people have to struggle. Like, no, you're right. It's not. It's either eat or be eaten. Pick.
They don't want you to be rich.
Like, no, they don't. That's why they don't teach you that.
They just want you to know enough to push the buttons and do the job.
They want you to be a worker bee. That's what they want. So be eaten.
Why do you think when you graduate, they put a black box on the top of your head? It's because they don't want you to think outside the box.
Nope.
When you graduate, you graduated. Congratulations. You now can think inside the box only.
Correct.
That's basically what that is. That's symbolism.
It is symbolism. Exactly.
Like,
so
they don't teach you anything about finance. They don't teach you anything about
no,
stocks.
it's not in there. It's not in. And then those who go out of their way to learn about finance, they're seen as sharks. They're seen as these greedy men who just want power and money. It's be eaten or eat. That's how it's supposed to be. That is capitalism. You either compete or you don't. But to me, it's not in the government to make that decision for me. That's where I'm at. So let's talk about Alina Habba fighting the government to become New Jersey Attorney General. Let's take a look at that. She cut her hair. She looks good.
Last night, I was surprised to see. Last night, I was surprised to see President Trump on Truth Social go after me and Senate Republicans over what we call the blue slip. The people in real America don't care about what the blue slip is.
They don't.
But in fact, it impacts in their states the district judges who serve their communities and the U.S. attorneys who ensure the law and order is enforced.
And that was Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley this week on the Senate tradition of blue split. After President Trump posted earlier remarks about Grassley denouncing attempts to block presidential nominations for ideological and political reasons. On Friday, the president posted on Truth Social comments Grassley made back in 2017 about not allowing home state senators to abuse the blue slip process. It came after a federal judge in Pennsylvania ruled that acting U.S. Attorney for New Jersey, Alina Habba, is unlawfully serving after President Trump and AG Pam Bondi extended her tenure by naming her acting U.S. Attorney rather than interim to fill the vacancy. Judge Matthew Braun, appointed by the bench by former President Obama in 2012, said Habba has not been rightfully the top federal attorney in New Jersey since July 1st, after a pair of criminal defendants challenged her appointment. One of the lawyers involved challenging in the lawsuit, former Hunter Biden attorney Abby Lowell.
Interesting.
Bondi says she will immediately appeal the ruling, adding the DOJ will protect her position from activist judicial attacks. Habba is in this position because she has not had a confirmation hearing with the Senate Judiciary Committee, with Chairman Grassley honoring New Jersey Democrat Senators Cory Booker and Andy Kim's use of that so-called blue slip process. It allows senators to block certain nominees who would oversee their home states. The practice is a Senate tradition. It is not the law. Joining me now in this Sunday Morning Futures exclusive is the woman herself, the acting U.S. Attorney for New Jersey, Alina Habba. Alina, thanks so much for being here today. What are you doing about it?
We're fighting, as usual. You know how this administration works. It's the new roadblock. It's the new lawfare. It's the same thing that they tried with Tish James. And now they're doing it with U.S. attorneys and judges, and it's not just me. It's around the country, frankly, and this tradition that Senator Grassley is upholding effectively prevents anybody in a blue state from going through into Senate to then be voted on. Senator Booker and Senator Kim had absolutely every right to vote no for me for the U.S. attorney position. But I had the right as the nominee to get in front of Senate and to be voted on, to be vetted. I never even got there. Of course not. I was, according to them, unqualified. Why? Look at Hakeem Jeffries' tweet. Because I arrested a congresswoman for a charge of assaulting a police officer. And you know what? I stand by my work as the U.S. attorney, and I won't be intimidated by this type of political rhetoric.
What do you want to say about Senator Tillis? Tom Tillis, a member of the Judiciary Committee, has stated publicly that if Chairman Grassley tried moving a district judge or U.S. attorney through the Judiciary Committee without a blue slip, he would oppose that nominee. And that means we would not even have the votes to pass a nomination like Haba out of committee because Tillis would vote no along with the Democrats.
It's not surprising. You know, they're trying to look at this as they all need to get along to go along, but they're not looking at what this does. The president was rightfully voted in by a majority of Americans, and he is entitled to pick his U.S. attorneys, his Department of Justice officials, his judges, so that we can continue the agenda that the American public voted for, which is to get rid of crime. In the state of New Jersey in June alone, we arrested over 300 criminals, illegals, rapists. What is so bad about that work? The truth is it has nothing to do with the work that we're doing. It has nothing to do with the crime that we're stopping. It has to do with trying to prevent President Trump from continuing his agenda, and it has to stop. So I would say to Senator Tillis and Senator Grassley, you are becoming part of the issue. You are becoming part of the antithesis of what we fought for 4 years. The same reason Tish James just got overturned in the appellate division, because it was a hoax and it was misused and abuse of power. And we cannot allow and promote that kind of behavior. It is not just about me. It is about people across the country, U.S. attorneys across the country that just want to do right by Americans that voted for President Trump in this administration.
Alina, you think there's more to it as well because your first assistant was in the wedding party of the federal judge, right? Tell me more about that and the relationships behind the headlines here.
Yeah, in New Jersey, we had a very strange situation that I was made very aware of months ago. Yes, the Department of Justice official who was named to replace me was very close with federal judges that voted me out and voted her in. It was not a typical situation. It was not a partisan situation. It was solely, let's get our person in. What they don't understand is Article 3 judges do not pick the U.S. attorney for the state. The president, Pam Bondi, the attorney general, that's who picks it. And they had a collusion, a plan. I'm aware of it, and the Department of Justice is aware of it, and soon enough it will come out. It was inappropriate, it was unethical, and frankly, senators ordering the judges in tweets to vote against me was also inappropriate. And it was...
Oh, that's crazy. All right. You know, a lot of people say that it's just Democrats, but it's not. It's also Republicans too. There's Republicans that, you know, they like things just the way it is, and they don't want change. Like, there are Republicans that are still, you know, Bush era Republicans, which are the, you know, neocons, the ones that want
dinosaurs.
What? Them
dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there are Republicans that are old and they're not in that camp, but you know that guy happens to be, you know, old and in that camp. But to me, this is just, the reason why I decided to post about this one is because this is a great example as to how people say, "Oh, is Trump fighting the deep state?" And this is a great example of, yes, I think he is. I think he is fighting the deep state. I think that by you putting people in charge like her, it's very controversial because she used to be his attorney, and she actually wants to do good for New Jersey because she came from New Jersey, and there are politicians on both sides of the aisle that are stopping her from becoming attorney general, proves and exposes that the deep state is not just left, it's also right as well. It is a uni-party problem. It's not just a Democrat party problem. It's literally Democrat Republicans that are on this uni-party union to go after people that actually want to improve this country. And that, you know, to me, I don't see why saying, oh, you know, he's not gonna drain the swamp. I mean, be real. Is it really possible to drain the swamp in 4 years? I don't think so. But I think that in 4 years, you can expose a lot of it. And I think that is 50% of the work is exposure. You know, sunlight is the best disinfectant, right? So if you expose, you know, the roaches for what they are, they're going to be scattering around. They're not going to know what to do or where to go. And I think that's part of the fight. So to me, this is a great example as to we're exposing corruption on both sides of the aisle. It's not just Democrat, it's also Republicans, because there is a literal uni party that doesn't want actual people that care about this country to take charge and make a difference on a positive level. But that's me. Maybe I'm overly optimistic, but I don't think I'm overly optimistic. I think, I just believe the future looks bright, and I genuinely believe that if you expose corruption will eventually have to just fade away, because, the whole point of corruption existing is for nobody to really know about it. If you know about it, you're going to want it to no longer exist. So what do you think?
I mean, yeah, I agree that exposing things to the light does definitely, what's the word? Reduce corruption, or reduce, negative things happening. But corruption is never really going to go away. It's something that's always going to be there. It's about becoming more aware about it and taking the right steps to reduce it, because inherently humans are greedy. Let's be real. That's something that's not going to go away.
No, definitely not. It's not going to go away.
We just have to learn how to deal with it better.
Yeah.
Find the ones that
I guess control it would be the best.
Yeah, control it, reduce it.
Yeah.
But you're never going to get rid of it.
So the goal is to control the swamp, not drain the swamp.
The goal is to expose the swamp.
Yeah. And then control the swamp.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Or shrink the swamp.
Because it all works through like the shadows, right? And once you expose it to the light, a lot of it just crumbles, because it's all smoke and mirrors. It's all
right.
Once those people start seeing that the truth is coming out, they're gonna turn on each other.
Yep.
It's a network, yeah, but they're not.
The rats.
They're not that strong as a unit. They only work with each other because they got dirt on each other.
Yeah.
It only works because of that.
Yeah.
That's how it was built.
And because they all want power.
That's how it was built. Exactly. Yeah. So they're gonna scramble for power. They're gonna turn on each other. That's just how it's gonna work, because it was built on that.
I mean,
you take away the building blocks, what happens? Crumbles down, right?
Crumbles down. Yeah. Exactly. So I mean, we're seeing just the beginnings of it, but
it begins with truth.
Yeah, it begins with truth for sure. So I think, I think that perhaps these 4 years will just be that, shedding light on the corruption.
I think what it's gonna be, I agree. I think it's gonna be like setting the foundation for that, because it's gonna build on itself.
Yeah.
And over time, it's going to be like a domino effect.
Right. Yeah. There's not much you have to do, really.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, setting it up is the hard part, because they're going to stop you. They're going to try to stop you from setting it up.
Right. Yeah, this is a great example of that.
Exactly. They're going to try to stop you from putting in the building blocks so the foundation isn't strong. But you got to keep pushing through.
Yeah.
And who better to do it?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Tumet?
Yo, what it do? Wars Network? Oh, that's part of his thing. I was like, wait, what? That's part of his name, Wars Network. This guy loves Star Wars. I was like, damn.
I love Star Wars too.
Yeah, he likes Star Wars too.
May the Force be with you.
I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but he says that I should get into it, and just have a little bit of patience.
Oh, there's a lot of symbolism in that story in itself. You can get a lot of elements from the Star Wars story.
What's going on right now?
Yeah. Oh. It's that's why it's like a timeless classic, because you can just apply it to anything that's going on. It's
evergreen.
Such a great story. I'm talking about the old ones, not the newer ones. They suck. Disney messed it up.
Disney messed it up. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I told him, I'm gonna have to meditate for an hour and then fast to be able to watch the whole thing. Because it is.
No, it's gonna take a long time to watch the whole thing in one day. Just take it bit by bit.
Yeah.
Digest what you see, because it's a lot going on in that story.
Well, speaking of wars, Ukraine and Russia war. Let's talk about that for a little bit. So they just had that summit in Alaska. A lot of people that are left-leaning are, instead of seeing it the positive way that there is some type of step forward because they had a summit, they had some type of conversation, they got to see each other in person. Instead, they're saying, how dare he not talk bad about this authoritarian dictator. Perhaps it's because Trump is also an authoritarian. So there are two peas in a pod, and and it's just like, bro, like, when are we gonna like stop judging when we don't really have a better, like, to me, if I don't know what the better move is, who am I to judge? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where I'm at. It's like me talking smack to a millionaire about the way he makes money when I'm not even there yet. So I just don't see value in judging when there's no alternative to your judgment. What is your solution? You don't have one? Then shut up. Like, stop judging. Stop making judgments. Just observe. Observe what's going on around you. Stop judging everything just because, like, yes, God gave you the right to judge. Doesn't mean you should. Doesn't mean you should judge. Especially if you don't really know, like, what the deal is. Because at the end of the day, we don't know anything. We are just the masses. We have no real intel whatsoever. We're only told what they want us to know. So what is the point in judging when you don't really know what is going on? So in my mind, I think observing is the wisest choice. Observe what's going on, and by your observation, you give your thoughts on it. But judging, to me, it just shows that you don't really care for a solution, because you just want to find reasons to criticize. And I'm just not there. It's toxic. To me, it's toxic. I'd rather say, okay, you know what? Yeah, okay. I mean, it's not where I want it to be. I don't want any more. I don't want death. I don't like war unless it's necessary. The Ukraine-Russia war was unnecessary. The fact that we kept giving money to Ukraine was, to me, unnecessary. I think what we should have been giving was drones or something, like something that they could actually, that's tangible, that could actually use to defend themselves, instead of money that was probably coming back to the politicians in the first place. So to me, I think instead of just judging, oh my God, the president, is being nice to Putin, a dictator. What are you supposed to do? Be a tough guy when this guy has, I don't know how many nuclear sites? Like, what are you supposed to do? Talk shit in front of Putin? No, dude. If you want, you can talk shit behind closed doors. But I wouldn't, if I were Trump, you cordial, diplomatic, in front of the cameras, nice guy, be the nice guy, and then behind closed doors, you be the tough guy. Nobody needs to know what your actual conversations are. As long as you get the job done, that's what matters at the end of the day. As long as people end up actually, you stop the war, people stop dying, that's what matters. Who cares if he seemed nice to Putin? It's just the narrative is just so targeted towards Trump instead of the bigger picture. What do you care about? Do you care about people not dying anymore? Okay, then why are you judging the most stupidest things? Instead, you should be like, you know what? Even though I don't like that he's being kind of nice to Putin, I'm glad he's actually trying to stop the war. That's what you should be saying. But no, of course, they can't say that. All right, I'm ready.
Let's head overseas now. Ukrainians are marking their Independence Day today as the country faces daily drone and missile attacks from Russia amidst the ongoing 3-year-long war. Just 2 weeks ago, it appeared a path to peace and an end to the war was possible. But since then, Russia has only ramped up its attacks in the days since President Trump met separately with both Presidents Putin and Zelensky. News Nation's Robert Sherman has more from Kyiv on the breakdown of talks on this Independence Day.
Despite the fact that people here are celebrating 34 years of independence from the Soviet Union, it is really an uncertain time on the ground here, Henna. People have no idea what direction this is all going to go over the next couple of weeks. In the present moment, though, you are seeing plenty of world leaders weighing in and offering their support to Ukraine. That includes President Trump, with President Zelensky posting this letter that he received from the President of the United States here on social media. Read it for you. He says, now is the moment to bring an end of the senseless killing. The United States supports a negotiated settlement that leads to a durable, lasting peace that ends the bloodshed and safeguards Ukraine. from threats overseas, safeguards Ukraine's sovereignty and dignity. President Zelensky responding to that, writing, "We appreciate your kind words for the Ukrainian people, and we thank the United States for standing shoulder to shoulder with Ukraine in defending what is most valuable, independence, freedom, and guaranteed peace. We believe that by working together, we can put an end to this war and achieve real peace for Ukraine." But in the present moment, what we're seeing here in the Donbass, in eastern Ukraine, Russian forces continuing their advance, with the Kremlin claiming 2 more communities in the Donetsk region were taken by Russian forces. Ukraine has not confirmed that that is the case. Nevertheless, it is intense fighting in the east right now, with Ukraine making clear they have no intention of just outright giving up that territory as a part of these negotiations at this juncture. Hannah?
Making it very hard to celebrate Independence Day. We know the president says he first wants a bilateral between Russia and Ukraine before a trilateral involving him and the United States. Any indication that that will happen, Robert?
Yeah, that's the deal that's coming from the White House. This is the way that they want to go in sequential order. First, the Ukrainians and Russians sit down, then the United States comes in to mediate and close the deal. But at this point, there's nothing on the calendar for that bilateral summit. The Ukrainians say they're ready to go. But Russia, on the other hand, says the time is not right. This is Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in an interview with NBC.
There is no meeting planned, and I'm not challenging this. But you cannot, I think, understand what I am saying. Putin is ready to meet with Zelensky when the agenda would be ready for a summit.
What agenda?
And this agenda is not ready at all.
The president said he's ready to give Russia 2 weeks before he potentially changes course. There's a lot of different options that are on the table. Could be more secondary tariffs, could be more economic sanctions. The president making clear he's not happy about the state of these negotiations. Hannah?
Robert Sherman on the ground in Kyiv. Please stay.
Yeah, that's it. All right. So after that summit, literally right after that summit, the Kremlin goes and attacks a company, a Texas company in Ukraine. I don't believe anybody died, but there were casualties, obviously, and people were injured. Now, where I'm at is the European leaders should be the ones to fund weapons to Ukraine in order for Ukraine to actually start playing offense. Because this whole time they've been playing defense. It's not working out for them, obviously. So, and at the same time, I also don't understand how people, instead of saying, okay, Russia is attacking Ukraine, they always go back to, oh, but, whose fault is it? Dude, it doesn't, we need to stop blaming, playing the blame game anymore. It doesn't matter. Because the reality is, it doesn't fucking matter. Too many people have died already. Who cares whose fault it is? It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, I'm not going to play the blame game. However, Trump was not the one who was president when Russia invaded Ukraine. It was Biden's administration. So, Biden's administration decided to... Ash is going wild. I don't know what is going on with my dog right now. He's going through some stuff, some midlife crisis. He's losing his shit out there. So, even though, historically speaking, Putin decided to invade Ukraine because we had weak leadership in charge, just like he decided to take over Crimea when, again, we had weak leadership in charge, meaning Obama. At the end of the day, even though we had weak leadership at that time, That's why that happened. I mean, why else would he have done it if there wasn't weak leadership in charge? If he were to have respected these leaders, he wouldn't have done that. At least that's what that's what I believe. Because why didn't he do it when Trump was in charge? So, however, it happened already. He took over Crimea. He's already invaded Ukraine. We've already had thousands of Ukrainian lives and Russian lives dead. So, at this point, what matters is, what is Trump going to do to end the war? That's it. That's what should matter. It shouldn't matter like the fact that he wants to sign a picture of Putin and Trump and he wants to sign it and send it over to them. It doesn't matter. What matters is, what are they willing to do behind closed doors to end the war? Period. That's what we should care about as Americans. Like, people would protest against war in the past. And now, instead of protesting against war, people are like, yeah, we should have war. Fuck Russia. Like, no, we should not have war. Like, we should be like, okay, we're at war right now. How do we stop this war? That's where we should be. Like, how do we go full circle? How do we go from like the hippie time where the hippies were fighting against the war in Vietnam, and then now we're like, yeah, let's just continue this war. You know, let's just judge the president attempting to stop the war, even though we actually want peace. So if you want peace, then act like it and stop judging the only person who's trying to make peace. Because the European leaders just yesterday weren't trying to do that. They were not trying to do that. So this is what I think should happen, and apparently it might be happening. European NATO, well, the EU finance arms for Ukraine. European NATO members are considering financing purchases of US-made weapons for Ukraine. Yes, that's exactly what they should be doing. They should be using their money because they're the ones close to Russia right now, not us. That should have been done during Biden's administration or even Obama's administration. It should have been really Obama because this started when they took Crimea. So I don't understand why now this is happening over a decade later, but that's neither here or there. These weapons would be transferred to Ukraine with European flipping the bill, not the US. We're just giving them the weapons. We're giving them the weapons, they're paying for it, and they're giving the weapons to Ukraine. That is how it's supposed to be. U.S. arms via European to Ukraine, which is something very similar. Trump announced a plan allowing European countries to transfer weapons to Ukraine and then replace those stocks with U.S. purchases. Love it. Equipment such as Patriot missiles and other munitions are involved. Ukraine's also said that they want to buy American weapons. Ukrainian President Zelensky proposes buying 90 to 100 billion US weapons financed by European countries. Love it. I'm all for that. We make money. We give you what you need to stop this war and to defend yourself and actually start playing offense. And the people that are paying for that bill should be the ones actually at risk, which is the European countries. I'm totally for that. And that should have happened during Obama's administration. And it should have ended during Trump's administration, not even Biden's administration. We shouldn't even have a war right now. However, we're having one, and the only way I believe we could end it is to actually get the European leaders to fund the weapons to give to Ukraine in order for them to start actually playing offense. Because Russians clearly don't give a shit. I mean, they never did, and for some reason we thought that, they would, play diplomat. I don't know why we assumed that, but whatever. Maybe because he didn't invade during Trump, so Trump thought, this guy respects me, but clearly they don't. Maybe he does and his officials don't. We don't know at the end of the day. We're actually funny enough, we're watching this show called Americans, which is about like spies, KGB spies in America, pretending to be regular Americans who are obviously spying on the American government. And it's totally worth watching, which is funny that we're watching this and then the whole Ukraine-Russia thing is becoming now like Ukraine is actually going to start fighting back for real this time, which is, the timing is interesting. But I recommend you guys watch it. I'm always gonna recommend shows.
That show's amazing, man.
Very good show. It's a very good show.
From the first episode, look, Tumed likes it too. Yeah, man, it's a really good show.
Yeah,
we're just in the first season, but we're gonna
kill that show.
We're gonna binge the hell out of that show.
That
man.
show's
so
awesome.
so good.
But yeah, Ukraine should defend themselves, but we shouldn't be the ones paying that bill. It should be the European leaders that should be doing that. So, will Trump administration invade the Mexico cartels by invading Mexico? I think so. Let's take a look at that. Breaking points. Let's see what breaking point is saying.
Trump has ruled out boots on the ground in Ukraine. He hasn't done it when it comes to Venezuela. Now, things got a little bit scary when the State Department put out what they said was a $50 million reward for a man they said is a fugitive narco trafficker. But when people looked at the name, they're like, wait a minute, I know that guy. It's the president of Venezuela.
He's not a president.
He's in Caracas. Can I have my $50 million now, please?
Easiest 50 mil ever.
So then you see news starts to break that there are secret plans to ramp up pressure against Venezuela, and you start to wonder, wait a minute, are we going to do another coup in Venezuela? Is that what's going on here? Caroline Levitt asked about whether or not the Trump administration is now talking about actual kinetic war with Venezuela, boots on the ground, and notice that she does not say no here.
The 3 U.S. warships that are being sent to Venezuela, and there's 4,000 Marines on board. Are you looking at possibility of boots on the ground there?
What I will say with respect to Venezuela, President Trump has been very clear and consistent. He's prepared to use every element of American power to stop drugs from flooding into our country and to bring those responsible to justice. The Maduro regime is not the legitimate government of Venezuela. It is a narco-terror cartel. In Maduro, it is the view of this administration, is not a legitimate president. He is a fugitive head of this cartel who has been indicted in the United States for trafficking drugs into the country.
So this is sort of like a new gloss on the old regime change effort that has been brewing out of Miami since the 1960s, when the Cuban Revolution led to
devolution,
an outflowing of Cubans into Miami. They have been trying to overthrow governments around our hemisphere and using their power, using their influence in the U.S. government to try to do that.
Before that, even.
Yes, it really ramps up after Castro. But now they're saying it's actually because of drug trafficking. The irony being, of course, the Latin American right is as involved in drug trafficking as the Latin American left, if not more so. And certainly historically more so.
I was going to say, you don't even have to say the Latin American right. You could actually just say the American right.
Yeah. Yes, and so now the argument that Trump apparently is making is that we need to overthrow the Venezuelan government because of drugs. How is it like? Is this an attempt to shoehorn it somehow into America First? Because nobody voted for a war with Venezuela.
Yes.
I don't know a single person other than actually some of my family down in Southern Florida who are Cubans.
Yes.
They would
what?
love
He
to
has
see
family in...
a war down in Venezuela.
He's Cuban?
And a lot of them are American citizens.
There are plenty
but that doesn't quite count as America First. No offense, guys.
There are plenty of Venezuelans who would love America to fuel a coup.
Well, the right-wing Venezuelans in South Florida.
Or the right-wing Venezuelans in Venezuela would love to have the United States fuel a coup and provide the kind of rocket fuel for a coup against...
We've been doing that on and off for a very long time.
And this is fundamentally what was supposed to be the distinction between the old Republican Party and the new Republican Party. This is the distinction between America First and America Last, as Republicans now refer to the neoconservatives, is that even wars waged for what you considered a just cause against, for example, a legitimate dictator, are no longer America's business if it is not in the vital strategic interest of the United States, if Americans themselves are not immediately, urgently, directly affected by this conflict. And that's supposed to be the distinct.
Okay. How are Americans not directly affected by this conflict when Venezuela is allowing people that, for example, are part of gangs to come here and commit crimes to our Americans? How are we not directly affected by that? When it's like, that's like when Fidel Castro, the fact that this guy's Cuban and he said that is like insane, but whatever, to each their own, I guess. When Fidel Castro decided, I'm going to just allow prisoners to come to Miami, and what did that happen? What caused, what can you look up what happened there? Because I'm pretty sure that there's a connection between cocaine cowboys and Fidel Castro allowing prisoners to come to America. I mean, obviously not all the prisoners were even supposed to be imprisoned. There were probably also political prisoners that were released, but a lot of them were not.
What am I looking up?
Is there a correlation between the release of Fidel Castro prisoners to come here to Miami and the whole cocaine cowboy war that happened in the 80s? Like, is there a correlation between the two? Because I could be wrong. I don't know. But
him releasing what, political prisoners?
Yeah, don't you remember when he released, political prisoners? Well, obviously we weren't alive at that time. I mean, don't you remember? We were there.
What year was that, though? Do you remember?
I don't.
Because that's not the only time he's done that.
I think it was the 70s. ¿Cuándo era la ¿cómo se llama esto? La Marieta is what that's called. I think it was the 70s and 80s. Because he took power in in the 50s?
No, I didn't.
In the 60s?
No, it was
It wasn't in the 40s.
It was no. It was like late 60s.
Okay, so then it had to have been the 70s when he released. 70s and 80s was when he released prisoners. But I mean, I'll wait for you to get the answer here, but I have a feeling there's correlation there between the release of prisoners. What does it say?
It's saying a lot.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, give me a sec.
It's still typing. Okay.
It says it said a lot, but it said that there is a connection. The cocaine boom was primarily fueled by Colombian supply and the U.S. demand, right? But Castro's release of prisoners during the Mariel boatlift in the 80s actually added fuel to the fire by injecting experienced criminals into Miami at the exact same time the cocaine train was exploding. Yeah, well, that makes sense. I mean, that's what the Scarface movie is all about.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. So this is kind of the same thing. So she's pretty much saying, in a nutshell, she's saying that there's no reason to go and attack the Venezuelan government, who's been pretty much allowing drugs and drug dealers and gang members to go and infest our communities and attack our citizens. We shouldn't be doing that. Even though we are being attacked and we are victims of, I mean, obviously not me in general or us, but there are people that have been attacked. That's why the fact that, we are arresting gang members that are not, Bloods and Crips, and it's MS-13 and Tren de Aragua, is proof that they are releasing on purpose these people to come to the U.S., and they did it during Biden's term because Biden said, come in, people who want a better life. And that's going to include people who don't want a better life and they just want to commit crime. So, yes, we technically do have the right to go into a government who purposely used like their power and their like pool, because they obviously work with the cartels, just like Colombia is on the same shit, just like Mexico is on the same shit. Like, if you are a country who's allowing cartels to operate and you are allowing them to go into American soil, we have a right to come after you. Like, I don't understand how these people don't see that. I'm trying to figure out, like, what are you talking about, dude? They're literally allowing cartels to operate in their country. And then they're bringing their drugs here. Oh, then of course people are gonna be like, oh yeah, but we want the drugs. Okay, sure, we can want the drugs, but the drugs, if you stop the drugs from coming in, the people can't ask for them. You know, like, it's just cut the supply, and the demand will have to figure out another way to get high. But to me, she's 100% wrong. I'm sorry. I don't agree with you at all. Breaking point. 100% disagree with you, and they're supposedly like neutral. They don't seem very neutral by saying something like this. I don't think that we should continue allowing Venezuela to do what they're doing, and that goes to all these countries. If listen, bro, a government's job is to protect its people. It's not your job to be protecting cartels. If you're gonna protect cartels, we have a problem. And if the United States government already said cartels are now a terrorist group, if you're a country that is protecting these terrorist groups, we're going to come after you. So you either play smart and you give us to cartels, or we will treat you as cartels too. That's where I'm at there. But let's end it on a happy note. Go to my X account real quick and let's watch Zoran Mandami, the Democratic Socialist running for mayor of New York City bench press. It is honestly probably the best thing that happened this week. It shows that the Democratic Party really has no masculine energy whatsoever, yeah, it's honestly worth watching. That's why we're gonna finish off with this, because it's hilarious. Just put MTT, babe.
At MTT?
No, just put MTT. Oh, or Married to Talks. I don't know how X works. Well, if you put MTT on Instagram, it pops up. I don't know how you do it here.
It's not coming out.
What do you mean it's not coming out? You've done it before. What have you put before?
That's not your at. Mary Truth Talks is not your at.
No, babe. Mary_truths. That's my thing.
Oh.
On social media. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and X. Mary_truths with an S. All right. Here we go.
All right.
This is hilarious.
Open the poll! Yeah!
Look at this, bro. Look at this.
This how you move up in the poll.
135 pounds is what he's benching. Okay, or attempting to bench. Look at this. This is the Democrat Party, guys. All right. Look at all those losers watching him as if he's like accomplishing something. Look at this spotter. Look at this. A spotter's not even supposed to be doing that. He's doing it for him. Look at this.
Let me get three.
He didn't even do three. Do you understand that?
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
That's bad, bro. That is bad. Listen, bro. Listen. I'm sorry, but listen. I had some guy tell me on this freaking loser. It's a lot of losers, but whatever. This one loser is like, IQ is better than, it's more important than testosterone. And I'm just like, yeah, IQ ain't gonna get no bitch pregnant. All right. I'm just like, wow. Like that is the antithesis. I can't believe he said that. I was just like, wow. Only a lonely man who has zero game would say IQ is more important than testosterone. Oh my God, that is just that is the Democrat Party in a nutshell, guys. All right, so the testosterone is important, gentlemen. It is very important if you want to impregnate a woman. It is important. It's important if you want to get bigger, if you want to get stronger. It is important. If you want to control your emotions, testosterone is important. If you don't want to be overly sensitive, testosterone is important.
If you want to get it up, testosterone's important.
Yes. So yeah, IQ is important, but testosterone is, to me and to I think most women, very, very important. So, oh God, that was hilarious. That was good. All right, so gentlemen, please start bench pressing, start lifting, start taking care of your health. Don't listen to Democrats. Eat healthy, take care of your body, and hopefully you will attract a woman, or maybe 2 or 3 or 5, So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe now down below. Click that subscribe button and help a girl out. Thank you guys so much. Oh, and like. Thank you, production team. Like, subscribe, share. I will see you guys next time, and stay being a truth seeker. Peace.